Spoken. Spoken experience appears to be recurring natural revelation relevant to human physical awareness, the multidimensional body behavioral system, and the biological order of social interactions. Spoken, in the White Little Book experience, is presented as a natural elevation, where the complete state of mind can be observed. A natural enlightenment process is supported by re-experiencing the birth memory event, Kundalini momentum, the death feel, and introduction to the natural symmetry. Releasing everything known to achieve an empty natural self seems to be a necessity to complete any observation unattached to its contents. These observations involve viewing word imagery, as they become active to reflect their original context, while revealing their content within, as well as the place they take in the natural environment. Exchanging word imagery is how we construct and decide every human relationship. It has become obvious that parts of the experience described in the White Little Book, revealing the natural understanding of God appearance, God's freedom to appear at any time, communion, God's freedom to communicate to anyone, insight, I-conscious ability to visualize, out-of-body experience, flexibility to accept any universal position, psychological birth, I-instant thought travel through birth memory event, Kundalini, human electric awakening, death test, living body death experience, God acceptance, God consciousness human body alignment, sacred geometry, eye-witnessing the natural symmetry state of being, human nature awareness, realizing every particle intentional formation dimension, natural understanding, recognizing natural being and personal traits, free will, human freedom to reject, enlightenment, visual orientation through every dimensional level, timeless knowledge, word reference for every experienced difference, life after life, experiential being, lingual identity, self-realization, human multidimensional borderless being, unification, human humanity Christ projection, hold very strong resemblance to some of the core teachings featured in different religions and institutions of knowledge found within intellectual, professional and communal cultures around the world. But these teachings are specific functions and components in a single God-human experience, representing successive development stages of a single human being, in a single lifetime span. Why aren't they introduced as such? Why parts of a single experience, useless on their own, with little social value and unachievable in any other possible way, would be separated, and symbolically marked held within different cultures away from one another, together with the expectance of an end-of-time special human return? Wondering if human life is subject to a natural repeat and realizing human social ability to preserve and release lasting verbal information, it appears that nameless ancient would have secretly migrated these parts away into different communities' cultural storage, as an experiment for us all. The nameless ancient would have thought that the person re-witnessing the ultimate human God experience would easily recognize the scattered parts ritually preserved as central teaching within the facets of their holding culture, and aware of his own experience, unify them as per natural interposition and their original order of acceptance, simultaneously providing all of us with a genuine proof that a cyclic repeat involving an identical part, or the complete human life, was possible. And if one human life is subject to a natural repeat, then every human life would be as well. Free of the bondage of death and belonging to all, the core religious teachings residing within the cultures all around the world would be peacefully assembled, and together with every part of the natural symmetry representing a visual understanding, whether religious in nature or otherwise, embedded in a language or its structure, in a writing or a building, obvious or undercover, would be intentionally presented to the combined judgment of humanity, as example of a single continuous human experience, relevant to the common nature and the complete mechanism of being. At first, he thought that all this was understandable and easily observed by any one of us, but when the opposite became obvious as well, the question, "What's the point of seeing something no one can?" appeared into the picture of reason. The answer was simply presented as, while the white little book experience forwards the natural understanding and visual image representing the general whole, individuality of each of us rises the knowledge and the visual image representing the detailed parts to fit. The detailed parts fitted the image of the general whole perfectly, except there was no war, occupation, exploitation, hostility, bullying, corruption, etc. But if all our social doings reflect the natural projection of the biological and physical mechanism of the human body, why war, occupation, exploitation, hostility, bullying, corruption, etc., aren't visible in the visual image representing the general whole? An eternal moment followed. Then everything clarified to perfection. It offered the detailed visual image achieved in all aspects of the human knowledge, involving the development of the biophysical mechanism of the human body, describing the before and after birth act. It is only after birth that the peaceful growth of the biological and physical mechanism of the human body was exposed to bacterial parasite warfare, occupation, exploitation, etc. As every piece of the accumulated knowledge is processed mentally by a single human being before becoming a social act or activity, the originality of the natural human mechanism of being at birth and proceeding offered itself as a referential living map to this process, and consequently provided a pre-existing example to any social involvement developing a peaceful growth, productive, sharing and caring intellectual environment and the corresponding facilities. While the bacterial influence at birth and proceeding, attaching to the human body the natural activity of the bacterial mechanism of being, altered this map, providing a parallel point of reference to the human mental process, and accordingly, replicated itself as pre-existing example for any social involvement engaged in occupation, manipulative support, malicious protection, and competing exploitation of those facilities. And that's why our social life experience was exposed to productive and parasite effort, involving peace, understanding and care, as well as hostility, exploitation and bullying of each other and the environment at the same time. And while searching within that seemingly chaotic bodily life for a match, we all activated and accepted part or the whole of our individual self, simultaneously setting a social behavior model for every personal experiential example. And while searching within the realms of before-birth biophysical mechanism of being, we all activated and accepted part or the whole of our individual self, simultaneously setting a social intellectual behavior model for every human biological example. And while searching within the serenity of the beginning moment and beyond, we all activated and accepted part or the whole of our individual self, simultaneously setting a social spiritual behavior model for every human physical example. The form and function of the natural mechanism of the human body rose from within through language to the social levels as personal and practical intuitive knowledge, reflective to the core structure and understanding of the corresponding act, activity, entity or culture, while all subjects of knowledge combined, completed the human body's social behavior matching model. At the same instant, he found himself entering the infinite space of the timeless time in a lifelike state. Everyone else was present. "I am here to thank you," he says, looking at the infinite space being replaced by the see-through mirror-like image of the natural symmetry. "We are all here." He sees the individual experience of every one of us interconnected into an all-institutional display of refined knowledge, reflecting the detailed common Christ formation accomplished by all of us in a combined effort. Within the natural formation of Christ, representing the exemplar of human internal-external form and function through every aspect of the combined understanding of personal, cultural, professional and institutional knowledge. All differences were parts of one difference, all people were parts of one person, all languages were parts of one language, all faiths were parts of one faith, all sciences were parts of one science, and all doings were parts of one doing. And this is how we all connect. In the beginning there was the Word. The Word is I. The silent voice of beyond shining throughout the natural symmetry, permanently revealing within the infinite space. The unconceived body of Christ consisting of the proportional perception of pure distance, direction, dimension, motion, heat, function, purpose, span, and reason, prior to, and within the occurrence of any bodily formation, the absolute zero. And that's how we all unite. We all have a notion of God. In the dream, God appeared to be beyond the limit of any human commitment in the formless form of the absolute zero, a current to the natural symmetry. The natural symmetry, liberating the image captured in every word and language, while reconstructing the visual understanding of the nature, form, function and mechanism reflected in every act or activity a word or language represents, revealing that the human form of being provides the natural map of references, offering a pre-existing example to every personal and social human behavior. The pre-birth pristine development and after-birth bacterial-imposed alliance on the human organism stimulates its personal, productive and parasite behavior, rights, wrongs, social concepts and activities. The thinking process, searching at request the mechanism of human body microbiome in all its informative memory levels for matching examples, elevates the detected match as a linguistic concept or practical behavior, reflective to the corresponding entity, its principle, act, activity, or social interaction. All recorded information, intellectual and practical knowledge of humanity combined, provide the eternal life-afterlife chart of examples, where every human can match and revive a personal behavior model, expressing it through an individual combination of language, in an abstract display, social act or activity, simultaneously adding new contributions to the common chart of cycled and recycled human behavior. All languages overlapped and similarities reduced, reveal the overall understanding and the total capacity of a single common language, originating in the making of a single common human being model. Every subject of knowledge, however open to interpretational possibilities, remains permanently attached to its original establishment principle. The absolute zero connects the position of judgment to everything and everyone, in an instant 0 to 1 mathematical act of objectivity. Seeing God in everything is feeling I in everyone. Within God factor, the natural symmetry consisting of the instant, constant and continuous incorporate, providing the multidimensional relativity for everything possible and everyone involved in any form or course. The respective boundaries of all possible knowledge in a bodily replicate moment of creation. The image of all wording and its subjects as per the order of experience and the order of existence. While allowing the instant of the physical creation to appear as it does to the I factor. The I factor, recognizing each bodily experience, see, hear, speak, think, know, understand etc., relating to what, where, when, why, how etc., observed object or subject of knowledge, making the I factor an entity of its own, prior to any of the following activity within the inner and the outer form of the human body, therefore, the first and the last bodily experience. For an experience to be a difference, the I factor must remain unchanged, bearing 0 to 1 mathematical relativity to any recognized difference, and 0 to 0 comparison ability prior to recognizing a difference to itself or to another. Being a natural constant, the I factor cannot perish, but only be part of another bodily experience, while all activity achieved in the renewed lifespan amounting to personal experience, structurally contributing to the informative account of differences, we call human knowledge. Recorded within the human knowledge, the I factor remains attached to its name, whilst every lived experience becomes a recorded behavior. Introduced to the new generation through language, the recorded behavior becomes active part of another bodily experience, further detailing the exemplar of that behavior in a personal explanation. Depending on its content, Every accomplished exemplar of human behavior will activate a positive or negative experience, visible in every form of society. Physically removing an active experience using force or persuasion cannot be successful, as both positive and negative behavior reside permanently as biological example, whether it involves the removed or the remover. Within the natural symmetry, every part of the human knowledge stands as per a human experienced entity, extracted from the complete exemplar model of all behavior, possible to be re-experienced and reassembled by anyone, partially or whole, and re-activated at any good or bad behavior precinct. The I factor stands as the natural ability to recognize all. Christ stands as the exemplar model, fitting all good human behavior. Beyond Christ, reflective to the original purpose of form, formation and information, stands God.